Welcome to Wade In, a podcast where we step into real conversations about faith, life, and what it means to follow Jesus together. Thanks for joining us. Let's wade in. Well, hey, welcome to Wade In. We're here with Brian Turner. Brian is our very first elder to be a part of this podcast, and so we're excited for that. You are in your 6th year of 6 years as an elder, so winding down. But hey, why don't you kick us off and just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, what family looks like, anything else you want to share, but also how you and Mary Jane ended up at North River, how long you've been here, stuff like that.
All right, great. Yes, I'm Brian Turner. My wife is Mary Jane, daughter Ferris, and she's 24 years old, and we came here. We've been here about 10 years, and that's pretty easy to track. That kind of tracks me when I took a job as a judge. It was a brief interruption in that, but we came over. Ferris was in youth, and we were just looking for a little smaller youth group, and we visited here, loved it, and we stayed ever since.
Yeah. All right, so I want to make sure I'm hearing the math right. 10 years total or 10 years since you've been back?
Well, it is within months because literally I think we came here in August. We left to go to Fort Lauderdale in February of that year, so about 6 months, but we never moved our membership when we were in Fort Lauderdale.
Gotcha.
And so technically the time would be right at about 10 and a half years or so.
Very cool.
Give or take.
All right, so you've mentioned Fort Lauderdale. So just in our conversation before we started rolling, I know that Fort Lauderdale leads into our very first kind of, hey, little bit deeper question, that this idea of just talking about a time in your life where you felt like God was calling you deeper. And I know that has to do with Fort Lauderdale. So
that is very true. Yes. So I am, I'm currently an administrative law judge. I've been a judge for about 10 years now.
That's a federal position.
That is a federal position. Okay. That is correct. And just to go back a little bit, let's put it this way. I do not like change. I was born in Tuscaloosa. I went to the University of Alabama for undergrad. I went to law school at Alabama. I worked at my family law firm for 17 years, practiced law here. And Mary Jane, in fact, we married right out of college, and she told her friends, if you ever want to find me, I will be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, because Brian is never leaving Tuscaloosa. He's always going to work for his family firm and always go to First Baptist Church where he was raised. Okay, so those were just constants. And so as we move along a little bit, we had about 2009. I had a hearing and had a contentious hearing with a judge that I was not happy with. I did not feel like he provided due process to my client. And so I was very angry, and even though I was very happy doing what I was doing, the next time an application came up for what is my position, I applied, even though I didn't really want to be a judge. So that's 2009. I did not hear anything until about 2015, okay, about 6 years down the road, when I got an email that says, hey, you have advanced to the next stage of testing to be a judge. What my position is not, most judges are either elected or appointed. Mine is a competitive position where you actually apply and interview and test, and they choose you based on your scores. So I did the online testing. A couple weeks later, I heard, all right, you've now advanced to the next stage where you can now go to Washington, D.C., do a day of testing and a day of interviews and see if you get past that. But I did not know that I wanted to do that because I did not want to be a judge necessarily. So I had a hearing before the chief judge of Birmingham in what is now my office, and it was Judge Zanatti. And I asked him, and he encouraged me to go and do it and just see what happened. And if I didn't get it, no problem. If you did, then that's good, and you can decide not to take it if you want to. So I did. I went. I passed the next round, and I was set to now do another round of interviews in D.C. And along the way, this is about a 6-month process it's going. And God would kind of give me hints that, all right, I was going to get this job. And one of those was I was actually reading Scott Reynolds' book, Journey Deeper, okay, our founding pastor. And he would be proud. He is proud. He knows the story that I was reading his book. And Mary Jane actually tells the story. She came in. I've got the book in my lap. the lights were off and it's now dark because I think I started in the day and it's now nighttime and I'm just staring. And she says, what is wrong? And I said, I think God is telling me I'm going to get this job that I really don't want. And because the passage that I read was about the disciples who gave up everything to follow Jesus. And they even pointed out that it's a little easier when you're younger because you don't have the roots and do all that. And here I was 44 years old and I'm about to possibly have to leave and change jobs and have major change. So that was kind of God getting me ready, I think. And another way is I take this last flight to D.C., there's a guy sitting next to me on the plane, and he says, what are you going to D.C. for? And I said, well, I'm going to interview for a job. And he says, what kind of job? And I said, a judge position. And he said, administrative law judge?
No.
And most people don't know that term.
Right.
Okay. And he says, my father-in-law is an administrative law judge in Birmingham. And I said, well, who? He said, Judge Zanatti, okay, who was the chief judge who I had talked to and who actually told me he would write me a referral letter if I got to that point in the process. So I could tell right then. I said, okay, God, I think the fix is in here. I think you've got this. So I get to that point, I pass that stage, don't hear anything for a couple of months. And like most things with the internet these days, you can find boards that have insiders who know what's going on. And somebody posted, they say, look, if you have not gotten a job offer by now, you're not going to get one. And so I fell to my knees and I prayed and I said, Lord, you brought me through all of this and you brought me here. Why? I mean, I didn't even want this job. And I did it because I thought that's what you wanted. And he audibly spoke to me and he said, do you really think I would have brought you this far if you weren't going to get the job? And I said, no, sir. Politely. And he said, your gloriousness. And he said, let me do my work. Okay. Yeah. I said, yes, sir. Okay. And by now a high-pitched voice. I was quite nervous with that. So I let it go and I said, okay. And coincidentally, the next day, Mary Jane and I were at a lunch with the church. Sarah Livingston was a part of that. She was a youth intern here at that time. That's right. And they had offered us the position of a ministry team captains, which we accepted briefly, as it turned out.
All right, so pause. What year was this?
This was 2016. This was January of 2016.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, right, January 16. And so while I'm at that lunch, I get a call on my cell phone. It's an Arlington, Virginia number. I'm like, ooh, that's not your normal area code that I get a call from. And it was, I got up and sure enough, that was them offering me the position in Fort Lauderdale. And all I'd heard of Fort Lauderdale was spring break and beach and far away. I had no clue anything about Fort Lauderdale. So I would be interested. I've never asked Sarah how white I was when I returned back to the table for lunch. I'd be interested in her thoughts of how shell-shocked I was at that time. So off we go to Fort Lauderdale, and we we were there for about a year and a half.
That's wild. It's funny. I've heard you tell pieces of this story before, but I just had this moment where I remember in that time period I was an elder.
Yep, that's right.
So I was on the elder board, and I remember, when we were talking about the different staff members inviting people to serve in the roles, I remember the meeting where they came back and said, so Brian and Mary Jane aren't going to do it because they're moving.
Well, we accepted, but we resigned about 5 minutes later.
Yeah,
probably the shortest tenure of a ministry team captain in NRC history, if I had to guess.
So that's so funny. That's wild.
But a lot of that, I spent, obviously, Fort Lauderdale's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Wonderful people. It just was not home for us. And so God, I've always looked at or wondered kind of why he sent us there, what the reasons were. While the whole time I was down there, I'm wondering. Since I've been back, I've wondered. But it's kind of become, it's been funny, the last couple of months it's become more clear. He's actually pointed out different reasons. One of them being, as you know, Ferris is going to go to South Africa to be a missionary.
Yeah, and meet a rugby player with a Bible verse tattoo.
Yeah. You would, yes. You're referring to the last episode of Weighed In, I think. The teaser, if people haven't watched that. But yes. And the last couple of months, it's been more of a reality for me because I've kind of noticed. We met some great people down there, and a lot of them are actually supporting her financially. People that we never would have met.
Oh wow!
And even yesterday, she was in D.C. getting her visa, meeting with the South African consulate, and one little curveball that popped up was that she has to have international health insurance coverage, proof of it, while she's over there. She knew that, but she figured when she got over there, she would buy the South African health insurance. Mm-hmm. But they want it now, and she's not there. And so they called Blue Cross, our Blue Cross plan. Fortunately, as a federal employee, I've got a pretty decent health plan, and it has international coverage. But I literally thought, well, Lord, if I weren't a judge, I would not have had that coverage when I was in a small practice, a law practice.
Why would you?
Small business, I would not have had it. So, those little things that God had planned.
Yeah, that is very cool. All right, so kind of in that same vein of just being drawn deeper in your faith, and I get the move for you and your family to Tuscaloosa, but now I'm just curious, as a fellow father of a daughter, what seeing her go, and how is that affecting your in drawing you deeper in your faith to know that she is making these plans to get on an airplane, and
yeah. Well, it is give and take. We're very proud of her, obviously. Very proud that she has answered the call. It's been the good thing I would say is that God has been very clear that that's what he wants her to do. He has opened the doors and really led her to this very clearly. Yeah. On the other hand, it's going to be a challenge for us. We are best buddies. She, her mom, and I are all best buddies, and I'm trying to think of the longest we've been without her or away from her. She went to South Africa a couple of years ago for a semester. We actually flew over right halfway through, so probably two to 3 months that we've been apart, and that's probably the longest we've ever been separated. So it's going to be a tough adjustment. Just praying, but feeling good that's where God wants her.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, are there passages of Scripture or other sources that the Lord has used or maybe is using in your life to kind of help you to just continue trusting? And
I would say, I haven't specifically related that to it, but one of my favorite verses, Proverbs 17:3, the crucible for silver, the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. And the example I've used for coaching and youth, etc., is this ring is about the only jewelry that I have, and it didn't come like this. It was put through a furnace and hammered out and chipped away, and I think that's what the Lord does to us. He chips away and molds us the way that he wants to mold us, and he uses things like this to help to build and make who we are, to build our character.
That's good. Yeah.
It's hard to call it a tough thing. Obviously people go through things, they have to persevere, but it will be a bit of a perseverance for us, I think.
Indeed. And I
think it counts.
Yeah. And an example and an encouragement to the rest of us to watch you, let go.
We will need your help. We will need all of it. Both of us will need your help to get through that, and Ferris too, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and hearing you talk, I'm in a discipleship group, and we've been reading through Genesis, and I've been lately reminded how God often makes a promise, and then he takes his sweet time fulfilling it. Years, so much longer than we want, but he's always faithful.
That's right. We don't know his timing, but
his timing is always right.
That's right.
That's it. So,
that's exactly right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, around here we talk about living sent, and so I guess I'm just wondering, what does living sent look like for you right now?
Okay. So a little more about me. My passions, number one, is coaching. Has always been coaching. Something
Sports
I love.
coaching.
Sports coaching. I started coaching Little League when I was 18. I actually coached my 13 and 14 team that I played for. My coach actually, when I graduated high school, he came and knocked on my door and said, "Hey, I know you're done playing baseball, and I think you might like coaching." And I said, that sounded terrible to me. It sounds like an old person thing. I'm 18 years old. But I went out to
practice. Those who can't coach.
He taught me to go into a practice, and that's right, those who can't coach. So it was perfect for me. And
I know that's not true for the record.
So I went to a practice, and I loved it. And I actually continued coaching Little League through college, undergrad. And then picked up when Ferris began coaching softball and basketball, and went on to travel ball, and then actually coached a high school softball team for 9 years up until the last 3 years. So 3 years ago, when I retired, we retired, coached with Jeff Laubenthal there. Yeah. And so I love coaching. I love seeing people succeed in doing well, and that's what I always enjoyed. And so I also love finance. I was a finance major in college, and it's something that's just an interest of mine. And so Financial Peace, Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace course, I listened to his podcast, and I decided to start teaching that, and I've been doing that for here the last 2-3 years, and we just started a new class Monday night, as a matter of fact, and had a good turnout. So just love seeing people succeed and hopefully have peace in their lives. We have enough anxieties in our life where if we can remove the financial burdens and anxieties from it, then that seems like a win to me.
Yeah. So how did you end up getting turned on to FPU?
So I will tell you what I told our class Monday night. Mary Jane and I actually we took the class probably 15 years ago, and did not apply what we learned, and therefore nothing changed, as you might expect. Yeah. And I just happened to start listening again to the podcast several years ago now, probably 10 years ago, and then actually started applying it. But I will tell you, the thing, you almost have to have your sick and tired of being sick and tired moment before you're going to make a change. And what Dave says, I think we all know as Christians, we have to be good stewards of God's money. Okay, that's pretty common. But the way that he phrases it it's very visual to me, is we are managers of God's money. In other words, he gives us money every month to manage for him. And if we can't tell him where it goes, we're terrible money managers.
Okay.
And I came to the realization, hey, I was having the money come in, but it was going right out. And I couldn't tell God where his money was going last month. And that made me a terrible money manager. So that was kind of the sick and tired moment for me. And since then, Mary Jane and I have gotten together and been a team, and we've seen great improvement.
Yeah. It's funny you saying that there's a, and I don't know if you thought through exactly how you said it, but to me, there's a nuance there between telling God where his money is going versus where his money is.
It's true.
Because he doesn't give it to us just to hang on to.
He gives it to us with, as Dave also describes, with an open hand.
Yeah.
So that it comes in and it goes out.
So there's an implication. It needs to be aimed somewhere, doing something.
That's right. You make your money behave.
Yep.
But the most fun lesson to me in the Financial Peace is the ninth class, the last class, is giving, generosity.
Okay.
And the stories that he tells, if it doesn't bring tears to your eyes, it will give you goosebumps, if nothing else.
Well, I think that's a good kind of segue, because what I was going to ask go now is, I'm just wondering in your experience with FPU and just in life, has there been maybe a moment that God has used or created a story in some way?
He has. I'm not going. I mean, I hate to name names, obviously.
Right, you got
obviously. But I will say in a more general sense. Yeah. Okay, what I have enjoyed, I think people kind of see my face in the church as being interested in the finances, and so people come up and ask questions, and I find that really cool, because it's a lot of people who I may wave at in the halls, but never have had conversations with. And it's opened doors for me to meet more people in the church and them to feel more comfortable about talking to me, and that's been a really cool thing. But and also meeting with them and seeing, I can just tell you, I have seen in our church members who've made great changes in their lives.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. It's been
That
wonderful.
is cool.
Yeah, it's a great thing to see.
Yeah, well, clearly, it's funny. We've, I know you do a lot with Stephen as far as scheduling the classes, but it seems like some of the seeds that maybe you planted earlier are now beginning to grow and getting some traction, and some more people are beginning to trust you more and to see.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. A couple of things I like in addition to that, meeting the people in the church. There have been many non-church members who've come. We hosted on campus. Monday night, you were gracious enough to provide a meal for the first class. The class members loved it. They said, "Hey, this free meal gets us off to a great start to our financial journey."
That's it.
And but it brings people here, and it can't hurt to see the place and maybe be interested and visit, and who knows?
I love that. I love that.
So
using it as an open door, whether they're here or somewhere, but just kind of.
That's right.
Because it is. I mean, stewardship. It is everything's spiritual, including money and how we do that.
It is. And as you know, Dave is very. There are Bible verses definitely ingrained. You are learning some Christian principles. It's also a secular, in a way. So it makes common sense, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And that might make them more willing to come to church rather than to come on a Sunday morning to start with. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Or to dive right in.
For sure. Yeah. What a great doorway. And, and for those who are maybe listening or watching this, they know that we're wrapping up our series Open Door. And I just think that FPU is a great open door that you've been able to use to maybe bring folks a little closer that wouldn't otherwise. So
we hope.
All right, so as we kind of land the plane here, is there a favorite place that you like to listen? We talk about listening for God's voice. Or a favorite place or time that you like to listen for God's voice?
A couple of things. As the weather's getting nicer, first of all, as we hit spring, I like my back porch early in the morning before the UPS trucks are roaring by, as you would say. No distractions. All you hear are the birds or the hummingbirds, and that's optimal. And also afternoons when I walk the dog, I take her to Sokol, and I put in my earbuds and hit a Bible chapter, listen, and then I'll also do praying. Just thank the Lord for. Usually it's a beautiful day if we're out there walking, and just thank Him for that. I feel like a good way every day, it's something that we need to do is be, number one, have gratitude and have contentment. And that kind of leads, your day to be better. It's tough to wake up, thank the Lord for everything that He's given you, and then have a bad attitude later that afternoon. You know what I'm saying? So
that's good.
It's a good way to start.
That's good. So. Well, very good. Well, I think we probably, how does Dave Ramsey usually end it? He says, remember, there's only one way to true peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
Very good. Very good. Hey,
I'm a Dave Ramsey guy.
You might take Dave's place.
We give you the same advice Grandma did. Only we keep our teeth in.
Live like no one else. You can live and give like no one else.
What is it? The paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as a status symbol of choice.
That's right. He has changed that now. That opening's different now. I don't have it memorized now, but yes, he has changed it recently.
That's awesome.
Ferris has it memorized.
She does.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I told you recently. She told me. She said, "Dad, I've been listening to the Dave podcast, and I've never been more proud. Other than her, choosing to go to South Africa, answering God's call, but." She said, all I do is therapy on there, and I'm a therapist. I can do that. I'm going to work for Dave Ramsey when I come back.
I love it. So, I love it. Y'all heard it here first.
Hey, if she wants to do it, I think she can do it. I think
so too. Well, cool. Well, thanks for taking time to visit with us, and we will be praying for you and Mary Jane and certainly Ferris as she follows the Lord to South Africa.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate that.
All right. Very good.